Hey guys, it's 10:27 here in the morning. Thank you for joining our podcast today. I'm Ashton, and today we are going to talk about mainly the NBA. Today we are going to start off by talking about the NBA Finals and how it all went down for the Raptors and the Warriors. The Finals only lasted 6 games, and the Raptors ended up being victorious and are the 2019 NBA champs. Kawhi Leonard was the Finals MVP and joins Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and LeBron James as the only two players to win Finals MVP on two different teams. Kawhi Leonard did it with the Spurs back in 2014-15, and now he did it with Toronto with the Raptors. And I have a hot take to start off with, as I believe Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the world right now. He does it on both ends of the floor. He gets to spots offensively. Nobody can really stop him. He just he's so consistent offensively and defensively. It's really hard to stop, and he has so much body strength that you can't really stop him. So right now, for the moment anyways, until next season starts, I believe Kawhi Leonard is the best player on the planet, and then second would be LeBron, and then third would be Kevin Durant. So Kawhi Leonard, he really he is a giant killer. And speaking of terms, he defeated LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh when all three of those guys were in Miami. And then he just took down the Golden State Warriors, which had Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Boogie Cousins. And I'll be talking about the Warriors here in just a sec, but Kawhi Leonard is a man amongst boys. He is a bad brother, as people would like to say, and he is going to be a Hall of Fame player in my mind. I believe he is achieving that right now, and so Kawhi Leonard, there's been a lot of questions about where he's going to go in free agency. Is he actually going to go in free agency and go to LA, or is he going to stay with Toronto, or is he going to go somewhere else? I believe he is going to stay in Toronto, and he is going to just keep winning championships. Masai Ujiri, I may have screwed up that name, is the GM for the Toronto Raptors. He got the trade he sent Kawhi, and he made the trade for Kawhi last offseason. He traded his best player, DeMar DeRozan, and Kyle Lowry wasn't the biggest fan of that. I know a whole lot of people in the Toronto community were not okay with that because they were having success. DeMar DeRozan was their key guy. He was the one they wanted him to lead to the promised land, and it wasn't working because LeBron was in the East, and he was just beating up on Toronto, and Toronto didn't have an answer for LeBron when he was over in the East. And so Toronto was that Kawhi Leonard piece away from winning a title, and they made that trade for Kawhi, and DeMar DeRozan went to San Antonio and had a really good season down there. And Kawhi just happened to be everything that they needed. It was clearly obvious when they were going through the playoffs. He was fantastic. He was Superman-like. He was everything that they needed, offensively, defensively. Whenever you needed a bucket, you knew you could give it to Kawhi, and he would get it in the paint or hit the three-point shot. I mean, he has the complete package right now. So he can do that for you. So back to the finals. The Raptors outplayed the Warriors big time. They outplayed them in 13 of the 16 quarters, I remember correctly, from ESPN. And that it's amazing what Toronto did because they just outplayed them, but also the Warriors had a lot of key injuries as well. One of them mainly being Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant came back for Game 5, and he was off to a hot start. He hit all 5 shots from the field. He went 3 for 3 for 3-point range, and he was cooking. And then he tore his Achilles late in the second quarter, and it was just obvious right then and there that it was obvious the series was most likely going to be in Toronto's favor now since Kevin Durant went down, and I know it struck Steph Curry to the core. You could just see the look on his face and the Warriors' faces. They were all in disgust. They were just like, how could this happen? Like, honestly, personally, I wasn't surprised, and it was I kind of I expected it because it was his calf originally, and the calf somehow connects to Achilles, like that general area. Like if a player is reaching down there, I automatically assume it's the Achilles, and it's just not good. It's just whenever they're reaching down there, when they're grabbing their low calf, like ankle area, it's not a good sign. Not a good sign. So when that happened, it was just the emotional it struck the Warriors emotionally, and they I believe they lost the game. No, they won the game, and then the Raptors came back in Game 6 and won. And then now Klay Thompson, Game 6, they were going into Game 6. Klay Thompson was on fire. He had 30 points, and it was like 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter, and he already had 30 points. He was cooking. Just literally, as soon as he got the ball in his hands, he was dropping threes. And then he went up for a dunk, and Danny Green from behind came and tried to block his shot, tried to attempt to block, and he landed in the most awkward way. As soon as he landed, he grabbed his knee, and he was in instant pain. It looked pretty bad, and when it was live, when I was watching it, and it was just like, whoa, what? He probably just blew out his knee, and he tore his Achilles. Not Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson tore his ACL. Kevin Durant tore his Achilles. Klay Thompson was trying to come back into the game. He can't. As he was going into the locker room, somebody was telling him, "Hey, if you don't shoot these free throws, you can't come back into the game." And so he went back to shoot the free throws, and he made both. And then he had the Warriors fouled and got him out of the game. Fouled the Raptors real quick just to get him out of the game, so Klay could get examined, and he ended up torn his ACL, and he will be out for the majority of next year as well. So the Warriors won't have to start the season Kevin Durant or Klay Thompson. The whole 2020 season, they won't have Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. They'll most likely get him back right as the playoffs start. I would say doubtful for that, but if he comes back, he comes back. But yeah, when Clay went down in Game 6, it was like, okay, this is starting to all fall apart for the Warriors now. I think they're pretty much handing the Larry O'Brien Trophy over to the Raptors, and so yeah, Kawhi balled out, and so the Warriors had a lot of key injuries that would have helped them win. So Steph Curry had to basically put the team on his back, and so when he did that, he wasn't able to. He was going off. He went off in Game 3 for, I believe, 47. They didn't win, but it was you could tell Steph Curry was exhausted. He was stressed. He couldn't lead his team to the promised land, and so Steph Curry in Game 6, it was kind of so people remember LeBron's first year in Cleveland when Kyrie Irving went down, when Kevin Love went down. He was all by himself and he had nobody else around him. Well, that was kind of Steph Curry's situation in Golden State as well. They had Steph. All he had was Boogie Cousins, and Boogie Cousins wasn't really able to do much in this series. He had one good game, and and then he tried coming back alive in Game 5 and 6, and he was starting to get going again, but he wasn't really himself. And Draymond, he was doing things defensively, offensively. There were spurts of it, and then nobody else really gave a whole lot of support and help to Steph's cause, and that's why the Warriors went down Game 6 at Oracle, their last game at Oracle. I didn't think that they would lose their last game at Oracle. So Steph Curry had a chance to win it in Game 6. They had 5-6 seconds in the game. They had the ball last, a 3 to win, 2 to tie. Steph Curry had an open look. It was kind of contested a little bit. It was a shot that I would definitely expect Steph to make if he were to get another shot again to make that shot. It bounced off the back iron and out, and it was deflating because the Raptors got the loose ball, and that's when the Raptors got the loose ball, it was the Warriors got it back, and then Draymond tried calling a timeout, but the Warriors didn't have any timeout. So when you do that in the NBA, the Raptors go ahead and get to shoot technical free throws, which is just one free throw, and so that's how the game ended, was by shooting technical free throws. And Steph Curry had a really good open look, and it just didn't fall. So you saw Steve Kerr come up right behind him saying, "Man, you had it, but it's okay." And so, yeah. Now, the Raptors they did everything that you wanted out of the Raptors. They played amazing offense, defense. They hustled on the rebounds. They got out in transition, played really well in transition. The Raptors, I give my props to the Raptors because Kawhi kind of did it all. He really did do it all. He had Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry really came alive in Game 6, starting off 4 from 4 from the field in Game 6, just right out of the gate, extremely hot, and then other guys started stepping up. And so they just followed Kawhi's lead and just really wanted They wanted this championship, and they knew that Kawhi had experience in winning championships, so they just followed his lead. And Kawhi is the only All-Star other than Kyle Lowry that's just been consistent. They've got there's not like another superstar on that team. It was just a bunch of good collective group of talent that the Raptors had, and it wasn't a super team formed overnight. It was just a collection of good veteran talent, veteran leadership and talent. And so I give my props to the Raptors organizations for that, for trying to make that trade for Marc Gasol and Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard, because without those guys, they weren't going to win a championship next year. So this year, Steph Curry, I saw this stat on ESPN. They also played it in the NBA Finals as well. Steph Curry, when he goes for the last 20 seconds in a game in the NBA Finals, just strictly NBA Finals alone, he is 0 from 7, and then he went 0 for 8 with that last shot, and that really struck me. And as he is the greatest shooter I've ever seen in my entire life, and in the last 20 seconds, where it's a jump shot to win it, you're relying on the best shooter in the world to just make one shot, and he goes 0 for 8 on those. And so I'm not saying Steph Curry is not clutch at all. He's just not clutch in the finals. He's clutch in the regular season. I've seen him shoot a half court shot to beat the Thunder in the regular season, and I bet you a lot of people remember that. And they are like, well, there's a bunch of moments where Steph Curry's been clutch. Yeah, he's been clutch in the regular season and some parts of the postseason, but in the NBA Finals, he hasn't shown it. So until he does, he's not reliable. He's not reliable. I want Steph Curry to take that last shot, but I don't know if he will make that shot. He hasn't proven to make that shot at the NBA Finals level. So now I'm the Raptors, good collective win. Kawhi, we don't know what he's going to do in free agency, if he will go into free agency. I think he will go to the Clippers if he does decide to go in free agency, and that would be pretty bad for LeBron. Speaking of LeBron, I'll talk about him. So LeBron recently got a new teammate over this past weekend, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers traded Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, the number 4 overall pick, and a couple of other first-round picks in the future to get Anthony Davis, and that deal will be finalized by July 6th. The Lakers had $26 million to get cap to get another superstar in free agency if they wanted, like Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant or somebody like that. Or Kawhi Leonard. They got Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis took that $4 million away from that $26 million away, and he'll add that to his signing bonus. I believe that's what Rachel Nichols said on The Jump, and so that will be good for Anthony Davis, as he wanted to be in LA this entire time. He really didn't want to be anywhere else. He didn't want to be in Boston. He didn't want to be in New York. He wanted to be in LA with LeBron. And the Pelicans tried to make this trade the Lakers tried to make this trade last year with the Pelicans. The Pelicans were just fooling around with them and were like, no, we're not going to trade Anthony Davis. And it ruined both of their seasons, as Lonzo Ball wasn't really going offensively. Brandon Ingram, he was struggling, and then he had blood clots, so he went down. Josh Hart, he struggled. Just the whole Lakers organization struggled as a whole, and the Pelicans, they both didn't make the playoffs. And so now the Pelicans get the number 1 overall pick and the 4th overall pick. So the Pelicans will probably most likely get Zion Williamson with the number 1 overall pick, and then anything goes for that 4th overall pick. They can decide whoever they want. I don't really know any other players in the draft other than Zion Williamson, John Morant, and RJ Barrett. That's literally the only 3 that I know and probably only need to know. So back to the Lakers. I believe they are going to be in title contention and possibly win it next year. And the Lakers already right now have the Lakers as 3-1. Vegas has them as 3-1 favorites to win the whole thing next year. And I mean, I would probably bet my house right now on the Lakers, to be completely honest. It's just they need more shooting, of course. They need to space the floor. They don't really have a whole lot of depth right now. All they have is LeBron and Anthony Davis, but they are definitely in title contention. They are trying to win now. They need to win now. LeBron is 35, going to be 36, I believe. And so they need to win now, because LeBron only has two more years left in LA, so they got to win now. And so that deal again will be finalized July 6th. So now Kyrie Irving. I believe Kyrie Irving, his game matches really well with LeBron's, and Kyrie Irving has the chance to come into LA. I've heard a lot of talk on ESPN and other places as well that Kyrie Irving is thinking about going to the Nets and playing in Brooklyn. And he got new agency that is located in Brooklyn, like new representative, new agents, that is. And so Brooklyn and LA are his two places that he can go. I've heard a lot of people on ESPN say that Kyrie still wants his own team, and he has that in Boston, but Boston completely fell apart this year with everything going on there, the turmoil there, where not everybody wanted to buy in and win. Just their ultimate goal wasn't to win, but everybody had their own motives. They all wanted to accomplish different things, and so it was all about themselves and not the team, essentially, is what I'm trying to say Boston's situation was. So Kyrie Irving might want to leave that and go somewhere else to an organization like the Nets and try and win there. But I think his best bet, if he still wants to win a championship and try and get one, is to go to LA with LeBron and Anthony Davis. They would shock the world. I would try and watch them every time that they come on TNT or ESPN. Like, you already know what I'm doing. I'd be watching the Lakers and LeBron on whenever they come on television. Just be watching them. And so Kyrie Irving, literally, he can reshape the West or the East with these with those with this decision in free agency, and so he will whatever he decides. It's what he thinks is best for his career and what he wants to do. So there's other guys on the market like Kemba Walker and Jimmy Butler, and there's just a collection of of good young talent on the free agent market, and so Kemba, I've been hearing he could get the supermax, also not get the supermax. He could go to New York if he wanted to, or he could stay in Charlotte where he's at right now. Jimmy Butler, he lost in the second round with the Philadelphia 76ers to the Raptors, and he could leave Philadelphia if he wanted. He could go to LA or wherever he feels best suits him. And so there's a lot of good players on the free agent market. There's a lot of good young talent around the NBA right now. I'm really excited to watch the draft and to see all the top three players that I listed off: Zion Williamson, John Morant, and R.J. Barrett go. I think Zion will go to the Pelicans. R.J. will go to the Knicks. John Morant will go to Memphis, and that I'm really excited as a Memphis fan to see John Morant be in a Memphis Grizzlies uniform, because I was born in Memphis, if you didn't know, and so I only lived there like 2-3 months of my life. I don't really remember it, but I can say that I was born in Memphis, and from that, I kind of am tied to Memphis a little bit, and so whenever I saw that Memphis had their own team, I was kind of like, you know what? Why not? I'll just root for Memphis because I'm born in Memphis. I could say that. So to see possibly we get John Morant, when I saw that we got the second overall pick, I was like, let's go. Like I was excited. I was through the roof. I was like, we're gonna do pretty great things with John Morant. John Morant's gonna represent our organization very well, and so I think he's going to have an amazing career with the Memphis Grizzlies if he decides to stay, and if we draft him. If we rather draft R.J. Barrett, I'm fine with that too. With the second overall pick, we can't screw that up unless the player himself is not that good. But what they're left with is either R.J. Barrett or John Morant, and they cannot go wrong with either one of those players. So I would say draft John Morant, because I think that he is going to do really, really good things with the Memphis Grizzlies, and R.J. Barrett is definitely built for the New York market, and he can make millions over there. John Morant, just come to Memphis, buddy. You will be loved. I guarantee it. I'll follow you. I already do follow you on Twitter. I'll hit you up, man. Just represent Memphis as best as you possibly can, and we'll love you, bud. So, yeah, that's all that I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and tune in next week. Thank you.